SOS Radio 95, yos. Welcome to Talking Point for today. Today I'm going way back, at least 20-something years, with a person I haven't seen in a long, long time. He's a writer now, and he's going to say who he is for sure. Good morning, sir. Put your mic on. How you doing?
Good morning, Billy D. It's been a while. It's been a long time.
Yeah, man, that's like 20-something years.
Actually, 30 years, because I'm starting to get that old now.
So how have you been? And you know, today I'm learning your name for the first time.
For the first time, yes. Because most people know me as Calvin Brown.
Yeah.
But my actual name is Grammy Brown. And I've been in St. Martin. I've lived in St. Martin from the age of 17,
Yeah.
and I kind of left at the age of 30. But I've been coming back and forth, you know.
But let's go back on who you are. You said, so where you were originally born?
So I'm originally born in St. Kitts.
St. Kitts.
And my mom, she married a gentleman from Stacia when I was about five years old.
Okay.
And you know, half of Stacia is from St. Kitts.
Yeah.
And then so we migrated there, and I lived there from the age of 6 till the age of 17.
Yeah.
And then I came to St. Martin. So I'm a Stacia boy in terms of growing up, and a Kittitian by birth.
By St. Martin,
And
by fulfillment.
St. Martin, I literally became of age in St. Martin.
Correct. Well, you know, Calvin, now you just said that your name is Grammy. I would have never known your name is Grammy because I always knew you as Calvin. And you were one of the first St. Martiner that I knew was involved in cellular phones.
Yes.
Actually, because you own Cellular One.
Cellular One. I got into it earlier. Yeah. And that was a business that it wasn't planned out. It wasn't a master plan. I just wanted a free phone.
But this is how you just
and it just led to a business, you know.
Yeah. How give us a little story again about the free phone. Yeah. You said you saw the phone somewhere else?
So I was coming from Kentucky. I was coming on a trip from Kentucky. I worked in the casino at the time. And I saw the phone, and I knew phones were expensive in St. Martin.
Yeah.
It was the Motorola flip phone.
Yeah, still that Motorola flip.
And that phone retailed here for about $775. And I saw it in the American Way magazine on American Airline for $275. So I told my girlfriend at the time, she lived in Kentucky. I said, "Can you call this company?" It was a company out of Indianapolis, Indiana. And I said, "Can you order me a phone? I'm going to sell it for twice the price, and then I'll send back to get 2 more, so I'll get a free phone."
Correct.
And then she did that, but when the phone came, I sold it. I ordered 2. When 2 came, I sold both of them. And then I said, I got 4, and I sold all those 4. Because for me, I could always buy another one. Correct. So if you want the ones I have, that's for sale.
but you've always been a businessman. You've always been that person who loved business.
I love the business transaction.
Yeah.
Right? So in my book, I talk about there's a story called Discovery.
Yeah.
And that was the business discovery for me.
That's one of the first areas in your book.
Yes,
From what I just saw in your book. That's one of the first areas.
Yeah, discovery.
Let's start, Calvin. But how, people who are listening to us today, how would they remember you quick? By Calvin?
Cellular One, Calvin, yeah. Most people know me as Calvin because most people know me from St. Martin. Now, if you know me from Stacia, most people
I didn't know you were from St. Kitts. I didn't know you live in Stacia because I always knew you here. I did business with you when you were at Cellular One.
Exactly.
But I never thought, that you're from St. Kitts because I have said you're St. Martin. The most intriguing thing I remember of you, Calvin, you were one of the first St. Martin who had one of those big Lexus Jeep.
Yes. That was 99, yeah.
You remember the big Lexus?
The LX,
Michael Ferry had
Ferry, it was me and him. LX 470, I think it was at the time.
Yeah. And at that time, though, a young man driving that Jeep was impressive.
I was 29 years old.
And that's a Jeep that cost something like $50,000.
It was $54,000. It was $54,000.
What made you buy that at 29 years old? Because I'm pretty sure today, with what you have learned, if you had the same thing, you wouldn't have bought a Jeep like that at 29 years old.
You know, by the time I was 29, I already had my house.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't something like you say you buy the expensive car before the house.
Okay.
I already had the house. I had the pool. I was at a place where it was a beautiful place.
Correct.
You know, I was set. I was comfortable, and I was like, I need to just do a little splurge for myself. Treat myself nice.
Yeah.
It's like you go to a restaurant, you sit down all by yourself, and you have people come and serve you, and you feel good.
Yeah, you need a big lobster.
yeah. That was one of those.
So at 29, you had your house. You were pretty much set.
I was set. I had cash in the bank. I was comfortable. I reached that place where most people reach in their 50s.
Correct.
But for me, it was 29. So
is this what the book is all about? Because the name of the book is Learning the Business of Life.
So the book chronicles me, it gives you a little background, born in St. Kitts, migrated to Stacia, we just talked about, but it goes into the core of where everything started, the light bulb moment, the inspiration.
When you say the light bulb, though, you're talking when the light bulb came on for you, when it came in your head.
Yes. So at 12 years old, there was, I was in 5th grade, and we had a class called Principles of Business. And in that class, it basically described John bought an apple for $1 He sold it for $1.10.
Yeah.
And then he made a 10 cents profit.
Yeah.
And that was the principle of a business transaction.
Correct.
And I fell in love with that. I said, that's easy.
Yeah.
The goal is to do that same transaction over and over and over and over and over and over again. You do it for every second of every minute, of every hour, of every day, of every week, of every month, of every year. And you increase your chances of having a very profitable business over time. And by that weekend, I went by a friend's house and they had a plaque on the wall. And the plaque was, when you come here, what you see here, what you hear here,
leave it here.
Leave it here, otherwise don't come back here. And I thought, wow, I think a lot of people would like that in their house. So I actually asked him if I could borrow it, take it to the library, and make copies of it.
Yeah.
And he's like, boy, if I take that down, my mom gonna kill me. I'm like, no, man, she ain't gonna know.
Yeah, you go. Take fast, bring it back.
Go fast, come back here. So I went to the library. I had 5 guilders, and I made 20 copies. It was 25 guilder cents a copy.
Yeah.
And I came back. I was excited. We're talking a 12-year-old boy, just, And I went house to house in Stacia selling photocopies of that plaque.
Wow.
I sold 19 of them, took the one, went back to the library, made more copies. So within the span of a week, I sold like over 100 of those.
In Stacia?
In Stacia, house to house.
Wow.
Yeah.
And in those days, those slangs work.
Oh, yeah.
What you see here, leave it here. Don't come back here.
Don't come back here.
And it worked, Calvin.
Yeah, it worked. And I was excited. So from back then, I was 12 years old. I still love the business transaction. Right. It's not about making money. It's not about the money.
The transaction, the feeling. I'm making something. I'm doing something.
Yeah. So I made 75 cents on every copy. Yeah. And that sparked the love for business, the inspiration, the determination. I could do this. Because anytime you can do something, whatever that thing is that makes you feel good, it becomes like a drug.
Do it again.
You do it again. You do it again. You see gamblers, drug addicts.
Yeah.
It's all the same thing. But if you could make that thing a good thing.
Make it a good thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this is a good story. And you remind me of another thing because when the satellite dish came out in St. Martin, I bought one.
Okay.
And then I did the same thing you did. I realized I could bring in a satellite dish, sell it twice as the price. And I think I sold more satellite dishes than anybody else. But I love through the transaction.
The transaction.
And in those days, cargo wasn't that heavy.
Yeah, exactly.
Cargo was light. So I was selling a satellite dish 2 or 3 times the price that I bought it. Had a guy that did installation. So we did like 10 installations in one day.
Wow.
And it worked perfectly. Yeah. So that's why I could relate to your book.
Yeah.
Let's go on your book a little bit, Calvin. Okay. Tell us about the book.
So the book chronicles my life from the age of 12 to 19.
Yeah.
At 17, I came to St. Martin, and then I have a transitional story. And then I just kind of skip through and say, okay, I did this, that. I didn't want to put the entire life story in one book because this book is really geared towards teens, young adults.
Yeah, that's why I see you have your teen pictures.
Exactly. So I have the first picture on the top is me a year and a half old, learning to walk. That's me making my first steps. And then the second picture is where the book starts for me. I'm about 12, 13 years old there. Yeah. And then the last picture is me now.
Yeah.
The picture on the back.
I like how you have it because you have the 2 years old learning to walk.
Exactly.
And then you have you, the business.
Right.
And then you have you now, the life.
Yeah, exactly.
So that was done like that on purpose.
My wife
turn
actually,
the book so people can see it on Facebook.
My
live
wife,
on Facebook.
actually created this poster. So I said, you know, I want to have a photo. There was a young man. He's my nephew, and I post out a baby photo of me, and he asked me, is that what's gonna put on your book? And I was like, you know what, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
His name is Danny Deschaussee, actually.
Okay.
And I say, you know what? He said, you know, it'll be great to have, you know, different aspects of it. And I'm like, you know what? That sounds like a great idea. And me and my wife sat down and I sent her all the pics. I had my mom actually take photos, because this picture is in station. I didn't have that here.
Okay.
So she took those photos with her phone and sent them to me.
But you have to put the photo the same way, because that's exactly, the beauty of the book. Yeah. You have to put your photo the way it looked back then.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. That was me back then.
The purpose of this book, you say you want to talk to younger people?
Right. I want to talk to younger people. Throughout my life, I've inspired a lot of young people. And I'm going to say inspire them, where I met them in their teens and they've gone on to basically own their own homes. They have their own families.
You was
they
driving
own businesses.
You was driving one of the most expensive cars St. Martin at 29 years old. I remember that vehicle. And what I got to say that you always, you know, you was an executive in your business.
Yes.
Well dressed. You know, you kept that. So you had to be an inspiration.
You know, so many people used to see me step out of this Jeep and says, is that Michael Ferrier?
Yeah,
because only me and him had it
because they couldn't believe at that time.
Right, yeah.
But that Jeep came from hard work, from Cellular. Your house and everything came from Cellular One?
Yes, because I had my house at 27. I started Cellular One at 23.
Yeah.
You know.
How did you, now we know how you got Cellular One, the idea came about, but at that time, you were one of the first cellular providers in St. Martin.
Yes, so I was basically the reseller for ECC.
Yeah.
So the original owner of Cellular One was a guy named Robert L. Singer, a Dutch guy. And so he sold the phones, but he had some issues at the time. Yeah. So by the time I started to sell out the back of my car, it created even more problems for him. Yeah. So I ended up taking over the business
from him. Correct.
Right.
Correct.
And then blowing it up.
You have an idea of those were in those days we had the flip. We had the first Motorola had to put one piece of phone. I still have one.
And then we had the Nokia.
So and then we have the Nokia.
So the Nokia was my baby. I love Nokia. I always loved Nokia, and for two reasons. Remember 95, right? So I started the phone in 93. In 95, the hurricane hit.
Yeah.
And when the hurricane hit, Nokia was kind of new, but they were the little straight phone. It wasn't very stylish, but the battery lasts for about 24 hours.
And that was a catch.
And in 1995, that phone became a hit. Yeah. It cost half the price of the Motorola flip phone, and it sold for almost 3 times more. And people related to it, and you could charge a battery without having the phone. So when the hurricane hit, we had like no electricity and stuff unless we had a generator. We actually used to charge people for battery charging in Cellular One at the time. Yes. And that was another part of business. Yeah. So and
then we had the BlackBerry. Remember we had the BlackBerry?
BlackBerry came way after. That was the internet age, right?
Yes.
With the whole digital, But back then we had analog.
Yeah.
So people are crazy now about text messages and social. We didn't have that back then. You had a phone call.
That's it. That's it. You had no WhatsApp and no. As a matter of fact, Facebook was created not long ago, eh?
No, Facebook I think was 98 or something like that. It's when it, And that time it was called Faces or something.
Yeah. Let's go through your book, Calvin. You say you have a part of the Discovery. I see that you have different areas of the book. You're taking people through your life.
Yes. So you're going through my life and you're there with me. As you read, it's not written in this high-tech English. It's written in the Caribbean style.
Correct.
And it's fast-paced.
Yeah.
So there is no story that bogs things down. Yeah. And it's go boom, 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 boom.
At the end of reading this book, what do you expect of a person?
After every story, I have 5 questions where you can reflect, right? And it asks you, if you had someone in your life when you were that age that guided you, what would have changed? Yeah. Thinking back now as a grown-up, what could you have done differently?
If you had someone
If you had someone, or even based on what you know now. Because I'm also reflecting back in this book. And one thing I realized in this book, I haven't changed a lot.
Yeah.
Yesterday I'm coming down on the plane, and I have a story in the book where I said, back when I was 13, 14 years old, if you said hello to me, whatever I had for sale, I would ask you if you want to buy one.
Correct.
And I was on the flight coming back yesterday, and this, I would say she's probably in the 50s, because she's retired and everything now. And she said hello to me, how you doing, da-da-da, we sat next to each other. And I said, hey, you want to buy a book? She bought the book, and I made a recording of it. Nothing has changed for me.
Yeah.
I still do that because I love the transaction.
Now, how did that come, and that's a good story, Calvin, especially for young people, but how did that come into you, the business transaction? Did you have somebody who guided you? Did you have somebody who inspired you back then?
At the age of 14, I met a guy he was 70 years old, and he was a retired radio repair salesman. I tell that story in the book. And I'm walking at the beach. By then, I used to pick up shells on the beach and station and string them up on a fishing line and sell them to tourists.
Yeah, make a chain, a bracelet.
Yeah. And we had a casual conversation, which I detail inside the book. And he was the first one that told me. He asked me what it is I wanted to be. I said I want to be a businessman and a manager. And he said, well, who takes you to school? How do you wake up in the morning? I have an alarm clock. He said, how do you go to school? I said, well, I walk to school. He said, what about homework? Well, I do my homework during class or sometime in between class. He said, do you have chores? I'm like, sure. He said, young man, you're already managing yourself. If you cannot manage yourself, no one will ever let you manage anything of
That's a very important thing you just said.
And he said,
because you have to do all of these things. So eventually you're managing yourself.
I'm managing myself. And he said, you're already doing business because you're selling necklaces. Yeah. So you're already what you say you want to be.
Yeah.
And that was not a light bulb for me. The light bulbs were going off because I was doing, just for me, normal thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that was the basis of the inspiration, the habit forming, and the determination, the will. And this is just strolling on the beach, something that we take for granted.
Yeah.
We have, you talk about copper and gold and diamond. Seashells was at the time.
Well, let me tell you how seashell is important. Today, we are buying seashell from European people who have found seashell and doing the same thing, and we buying the seashell. Which we should be selling this.
Exactly.
You started at 12 years old, 14 years old.
Yeah, and that led me to meet him. And then the book, so half of the book is my interaction with him.
Yeah.
Because as of that day, he then showed me to buy the clasps, the piece that you screw in on the back.
Yeah, yeah.
And he showed me what you're selling, one necklace for, all the material you use to sell one necklace. If you had a clip, it could be 2 necklaces. We're talking doubling profits for
because of that little clip.
For that little clip.
Because the clip is to secure it. You were just tying the nylon and so you're tying it up.
Exactly. And then you take it and you lift it right over your head.
But that's the way bracelet evolved. At some time you had to need a clip to clip them together.
And that's what I got from him. So I made an investment, my first investment I made ever. Because I didn't have to buy fishing line. I just took it from my stepfather's group.
That's it.
And then so he showed me a drill press. So he asked me, what do you do with the shells that doesn't have holes in them? Because I could only use the shells that have holes.
Hole, yeah.
I said, well, I throw them. And trust me, I tried. I tried the drill, I tried all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
They just break. And he told me about the drill press. So he ordered me a drill press, the clips, seeds, beads. And the key of drilling a shell, you have to get a drill press and you have to drill the shell on the water.
Underwater?
Underwater. So I had a little bowl. So the drill press is the one you hold, you have a handle and you bring it down.
Yeah.
So you have a little bowl, you take a little piece of 1x2, right? You put it in the bowl, you put water above it, and then you put the shell and you just drill it.
I never
easy
thought of
peasy.
that.
So
you have to drill the shell underwater.
Under because
salt,
it gets hot.
Salt water.
Any water, just water. It's just to cool it while the drill is.
Or else it's gonna crack.
Oh, it's gonna crack. Yes.
This is an interesting.
And
this is in the book.
Yes.
Interesting.
And my first order, my first purchase, and back then we didn't have Amazon. So you click on something. So this was like you had to do a mail order. You had to fill in, you know, and I learned that by his house, all the magazine with all the arts and crafts and, you know, all that kind of stuff. And we placed the order probably around October. And the stuff didn't come until January.
Wow.
But for me, and I say in the book, it was like Christmas again. Because Christmas passed, we in January. And when the stuff come, for me, it was like, I had 2 Christmas.
Yeah, yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
And then from there now, I was able to make, you know, the ice, gold, and greens, you know, the Rastafari
colors.
That was like the big, I used to make those and sell them to school friends.
Yeah.
I mean, I sold, like I said, I sold everything I had to everyone on the island. Yeah. Anyone in the station will tell you this boy always has something to sell. Period.
Right. And you still got something.
I still got something to sell.
which now you said, how much is the book, man?
The book is $20. The price is printed on the back, not yours, because I have two sets, 2 different sources to make sure I get them.
Yeah.
So I would have had this book out since for Christmas.
Yeah.
And then I went through some mishap with printing and publishing and that kind of stuff. And then in January, I decided to go to 2 different sources. One had to come through, and finally they both came through. And so I have, you know, but they're both really great. They're going to be in bookstores all over the island. I'm going to go, after I leave you, I got to go home, do some stuff, and then I'm going to go to the bookstores. I'm going to drop them off.
You just got the book yesterday, I think.
Yes, right? So I flew up. I had to fly back because I couldn't get them in time.
Because we have a launch, and I speak about the launch. You say you're launching it?
So I'm launching it Sunday afternoon, 5 o'clock at Pineapple Pete Restaurant.
Yeah, we got to pick up Pineapple Pete. Eh?
Yeah.
That's Pierre, a great guy, man.
Pierre is a gem, man. This
guy
is super. He's super.
Yeah, Pierre is unbelievable, man.
I don't even
know. But you know, he got some of the greatest workers in the restaurant business.
Oh, yeah.
These people down there are tremendous, man.
And they work hard and they've been there forever. I know most of them.
Forever.
I had my 40th birthday party at Pineapple Pete.
Wow.
You know, he had the big room in the back that just putting events, and that's where I had it. So me and him are very close, and we go back even probably 5 years even before then.
Yeah. So we're gonna have the launch this Sunday.
The launch is this Sunday, 5 o'clock at Pineapple Pete. Be on time. We're gonna have giveaway. We're gonna have envelopes. You get to ask questions. I'm gonna be doing autographs, photos. We're gonna have snacks, drinks.
Yeah.
My sister-in-law is actually gonna be there showcasing her drinks. You know, sample. I think it's passion fruit.
You're keeping the business right here.
Yeah. So it's inspiring for her too. So she's going to be sampling the drink. You get free drink samples, and then you can choose to buy.
Everybody in St. Martin, Calvin, still remember you, though. People of your age still remember you. Because if you did call me and say Grammy, I would say, what the hell is Grammy? When you tell me Calvin, PCC, Cellular One, I mean, it fell right there, one time. It fell in place one time. And that's why I say, I really want to have a conversation with you. Especially again that you're launching the book this coming Sunday. Now you moved to the U.S., but your success, Calvin, started in Stasia.
Yes, that's where everything started.
I'm saying this because a lot of people believe we need to go away to be successful. Your success started in Stasia.
In Stasia, definitely. And then I had some incidents there. I had a bullying incident, and I have that story in the book. And only when I was writing this book, actually, I relived those moments in details.
Yeah. You were bullied.
Yes, I was bullied a lot.
But you're a big guy, Calvin. I mean, you're not a small guy.
You know, it's tricky, right? When you're big and you're strong, it sometimes goes against you because you have to be careful what you do.
Yeah.
Because if you do the wrong thing,
you're in trouble.
And that happened to me. I ended up in trouble because of it.
Okay.
I was locked up twice.
Because you are definitely stronger than the guy who was bullying you.
Yes, for the most part.
Yeah.
And the first time...
Now let's go to that little part of your life. You say you couldn't take it no more, that you got mad and you got locked up for it?
Yeah, so my first incident, I was 12 years old. You know, boys will be boys, right?
Yeah.
So I think it was in 5th grade itself, and they would take a piece of paper, just crush it up and throw it to hit each other.
Yeah.
And one time they threw one and hit the teacher. And when the teacher turned around, they all pointed at me.
Wow.
And I was like, you know, because I always sat in the front of the class. And he turned around and he was upset. And I was like, you know, it's not me. I didn't, you know, why would I just take a paper and hit you? Everyone can see it. You know, it doesn't make sense. But he punished me anyway. So I had to stay in the classroom during break and write down
I will not do that again.
I hit the teacher, whatever. And so while I was doing that during break, 3 or 4 boys stood by the door, and one came in, and he started like chuck me off and do that kind of stuff. And I got so angry, I stabbed him with a pen.
Wow.
Twice, so 2 stabs went in his left shoulder
with a pen.
With a pen, and then one in the back as he turned. As he turned to flee, I stabbed him again.
Yeah.
Because I was, when your back is against the wall, there's nowhere else but to.
Why were you bullied, Calvin?
We have this thing like even in Somalia here, Jamaicans are thieves or Guyanese are scamps. Yeah. In Stacia, they call you St. Kitts nigger. That was a term that they still use today.
In Stacia?
In Stacia, yeah.
Because they think it's nigger.
Think it's nigger.
You couldn't take that. After a while,
it gets to you because you're not equal.
Yeah.
You're playing with people, you're talking with people, you're in the same class with them, but you don't feel you're their equal. You're not like them. You're not one of them.
Yeah.
And that weighs on a child's mind over time.
Yeah. But I got to say this. I have always seen you as this fast, vibrant person. And I mean, I was involved in Cellular One. I love my phone.
Yeah.
And I always see you moving. You had this problem. You still have it sometimes with your speech. But I'm so happy, Calvin, that you never let that stop you.
No, because you got to go on.
You got to go on.
You can only solve the problems that you can solve. The rest of them, you have to go through them, around them, and you just keep it.
Yeah, because look where you are today, and you said something that I want young people to hear. You had your house at 29. You had 27. You had your home. So you could afford to buy a nice car.
Yeah.
That part of your life, you put that in the book.
That is in the book.
That is
the home is not there yet because the book kind of stops at around the age of 20.
Yeah.
But in the book, I talk about learning life's financials.
Yeah.
So I will start the moment you leave your parents' house, all your bills are yours.
Yeah, that's
everything is yours.
That's it.
Most people leave the house, but they come back home to do laundry, they come back home to eat, they come back home, I need $400 to help pay rent.
Yeah. Say that again. Once you leave your mother's
house, all the bills are yours. So he sat me down and he said, because I wanted to leave after the whole bullying. So my next incident I had was at 16. So at 12, I end up locked up for about maybe 5 hours. And I mean, we're talking, it was so scary. A 12-year-old, I don't know how scary 12-year-olds are when they interact with the police today.
But back then,
it was scary.
Yeah.
I mean, you're placed in a police car. I used to love like Hawaii Five-0 and all those police shows.
Yeah.
So now, back then you rooted for the police, right? Yeah. Now there's some people root for the bad guy. I was the guy being placed in a police car, in the back of a police car.
Yeah, you're looking at that way where you're in the back of the car.
It was terrifying.
Yeah.
Because now I was the bad guy when I didn't even do anything wrong. Yeah. I was defending myself.
Yeah.
And the police, so I was there. Back then you went home at 12 o'clock. You ate, you come back to school. So I missed that.
Yeah.
And by 5 o'clock when the police was taking me home, I was so terrified going home because I had Mommy, I'm going to say this about you. Everyone's going to hear it, but my mother is no joke, and she still ain't. This woman is feisty. She's 77 years old, and she is feisty. She did not spare the rod to spoil the child. And she had 2 rules. Do not let nobody come and complain about you to me. I don't want nobody at the house complaining about you. And no notes from the teacher, because I send you to school to learn.
But those are mean rules.
Oh, those. So... in 3rd grade, my mom came to school to pick up my report card. And the teacher told her I talked a lot in class. Sometimes it was disruptive. My mother took off her slipper right there in front of everybody and gave me like 4 whacks. Bah, bah. When you go home, you're going to get them. So that was the kind of woman she is.
Yeah.
So to not get home at 12 o'clock as normal.
Yeah. And then a police car bringing you home.
And then a police car bringing me home at 5 o'clock.
Trouble.
I asked him if I could go home with him because I was so scared to go home.
Wow.
Yeah, and I put all of that,
But the slipper worked.
It worked.
Because today you're strong.
Because she never had to come to school again.
Yeah. She never had to come to school. Yeah. What do you think about bullying? I'm happy you speak about bullying, though. What do you think about bullying? It is even more now.
It's even more now. In the States, you know, people are shooting up the school. I could tell you, my second incident at 16 was really. It introduced me the understanding of anger management. Yeah. I didn't realize I had an anger management issue because I kind of just sucked it up. For me, I saw it, if I were to fight in Statia, everyone had cousins, brother, sister, you know, whatever.
But you're in this time, you're still seen as a Kittian in Statia.
Yes.
Yeah, you're not seen as a station.
A state station. And I basically had no one. Yeah. So it was like, if we fight today and you bring your brother or your cousin tomorrow, I ain't got nobody to bring. So for me, it didn't make sense to fight. So most of the time I had to walk away. Yeah. But when I couldn't walk away, I came with everything. And I threw a half a block at a good friend. Me and him were very good friends. We used to go at each other's house, you know, everything like that. And I threw a half a block at him. And it ripped him across the side of his face. And then ended up locked up for 4 days. Yeah.
Yeah, you got from hours to days now.
Yeah, you know. And so that was the escalation.
Was there a time that where you said, I gotta leave station? I gotta get off the station?
After that. I went to my mentor and I tell him, I want to leave station now. I don't want to wait until I grow up. Yeah. You know, I said life is too short. And
you see yourself getting in trouble.
Yeah. And then it was scary because after that happened, his friend exact the revenge on behalf of him. Yeah. So I was hit with a hammer in the back of my head, just out of the blue, unprovoked, nothing. And it took like, I think, three or four stitches, just unprovoked. And now the fear set in because it was already lingering in my head, right? If I fight with you today, I got to fight with one of your cousins, brothers, sisters tomorrow.
Yeah, they're coming for you.
They're going to come. Because nobody want to lose, especially if you win, right? So somebody could beat you up and it's okay. Yeah. But God forbid you beat them up. They want revenge. They're out for blood.
Yeah, they're coming back for you.
After that happened, I went to school. I hid a machete in school. And I had one of my stepdad's fishing knives in my school bag because I was going to have a preemptive strike. Mm. So anyone who I thought
coming to fight you
would come and fight,
you would attack.
I would attack first. Yeah. And
then it got really bad.
It was very dangerous because the stress in your mind, the anxiety, and we're talking a 16-year-old, you don't really know how to process fear and anger at the time.
But today people are bullied for almost anything. They're bullied for their own language, they're bullied for... Yeah. It is sad though. And the part of bullying could help a youngster in the book.
They have to get through it. They got to get through the whole story. It's about 15 pages because in the end, I was talked down. I was almost that kid. You know, like you hear these kids that shoot up a school that did these horrible things. Yeah. I was almost one of those. It was this close.
Because of the bullying.
Because of it. Yeah. Because in your mind, you want to prevent it from happening. Yeah. And I can't change you. Right? I can only control my action. I can't control your action. Correct. So to prevent you from doing something to me, you feel I have to attack you first.
Correct.
And I have to attack you severely to where you become helpless. You become hopeless. Yeah.
But bullying is no good no matter how you turn it.
It's no good no matter.
You have a part of the book that's called a transition. Is that when you left St. Martin?
No, that's when I left in Station and went to St. Croix. So because I wasn't a Dutch citizen at the time, the government was not going to pay for me to go to secondary school. So back then, Station didn't have a secondary school. Most people came to St. Martin, they went to Curacao, Aruba, they went elsewhere. And I couldn't basically go anywhere because that would be at a cost to my parents who couldn't afford it at the time. So then I went to St. Croix by an aunt over there, and I was supposed to go to school. I ended up spending 8 months, never went into school, a bunch of things went wrong. But over there, it was my first time on my own because she left me alone in the house, and in the back of the house was a big yard, had all the fruits. We're talking sugar, apple, guava, avocado, kinnips, mangoes. And being home alone, I saw all these fruits, and trust me, I tried to eat them all. Yeah. And the instincts kicked back in, right? So I took a quid and I pick up fruits and I went to the market, I went to the ballpark and I sold them.
Business.
Yeah, I sold them. I went to the market. I bought groceries, vegetables. I came home. I cooked, and I had one.
I heard too that you love to cook.
I love to cook. I used to cook. So at home, old people would always say, "You eat what I cook, or you cook for yourself."
Yeah.
Right. So I learned to cook macaroni and cheese with Vienna sausage. That was the first meal I learned to cook. And then I moved up to rice and hot dogs. So in St. Croix, I talk about cooking my first dumplings on my own.
Correct.
And I mix up bacon, I mix up a Johnny cake recipe with a dumpling recipe. Okay. Because in the dumpling I add baking powder.
Yeah. And I do think you gotta add no. There's somewhere you don't put baking powder.
And the dumplings blew up in the pot. Like, I mean, they were just huge. And I'm like, what is this? I mean, I had like maybe 5 or 6 dumplings in the pot, and they were the good size of my face.
Yeah.
And so I called home. I explained to my mom what was happening, and she started to laugh. She's like, "What you put in the dumpling?" I said, I had salt, I had flour, I had a bit of cornmeal, because you got to put cornmeal in your dumpling, you know. Yeah. And I said, baking powder, and she's like, baking powder? Nobody don't put baking powder in dumpling.
Yeah, you can sweat him up one time there for sure. You can sweat him up one time. So, we got to remind people that this book launch is going to be held on Sunday at Pineapple Peak.
At Pineapple Peak.
This Sunday is on the 25th.
25th of February, Pineapple Peak, 5 o'clock. And then I'm going to be signing books. We get to interact. We have some questions. We have some prizes.
Yeah.
You know.
You ever thought that you would have gotten to write a book? Or?
No. That was not a master plan. My mentor, I actually asked him one time.
Do you still have the mentor today? You still have a mentor?
No. I'm the one doing the mentoring now.
Why do you think that people should need a mentor though?
Because you only know what you know at the time that you know it. Yeah. Right? And he used to tell me something, that decisions are made in real time. We always say, if I didn't know. Yeah. Right? But that's always behind.
That's gone.
But
decisions are made in real time.
In real time.
Yeah, that's
and if you have someone like you now at your age, you know way more than you knew when you were 15,
Correct.
16.
Correct.
So kids that are of that age, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, in Stacia, you know, Stacia people live old. They're very healthy because they walk, they eat well for the most part. So I always was around a lot of older people. And older people always giving a young person advice.
Yeah, they got slangs, they got codes, they got...
And I was one of those kids that soaked up all of the information. Nowadays, I think not enough young people are hanging around older people.
Yeah.
Or there's a combination of all the distraction that's going on that they don't take the time to be with the people who know the things that they don't know yet.
Yeah.
You know, like so many young people think that you as an older guy was never young. Like, you knew I was 12, right? I used to be 12 at one point.
They don't see that.
You know, they don't see it that way. So all the stuff that you're going through, that you're telling me I don't understand, I've been there. The internet wasn't at the time, but I've been there.
It's amazing that you say that, because sometimes even your own child will tell you, you don't know nothing about that.
My daughter tells me all the time, Dad, you don't understand. I'm like, really?
I've been there.
Yeah, I've been there.
I was 16, I was 17, I was 18, I was 19.
Yeah,
and they don't understand that. They
and I got in almost all the trouble you got into.
Correct. And maybe sometimes even more.
More, exactly. So I had someone that after my second incident, he talked me down and he told me, and I write it inside the book also, stay away from just plain, stupid, mischievous, and just no good people.
Yeah.
Because most of...
Well, Les Brown has a way he says, just stay with QQ something people, high quality people. You know, Les Brown has a way he says that when he speaks. Les Brown, the OQP.
See, I was taught...
Only quality people.
Only quality people.
Only quality
I was taught to stay away from mischievous and just plain old stupid people.
Yeah.
Because we don't realize that we end up in environments we kind of don't know it yet, but if you are taught it, the environments that we place ourselves in is what sometimes creates all the problems that we get into.
Most of the, well, it creates all the problems. Not most of the time, all the time.
All of
it's
the
time. Your environment that you put yourself into. If you're breaking a bank and you say let's go, that's the environment I put myself in, and I'm involved.
And he told me, if you have a friend who is nice to you but not nice to other people, you need to move away from that friend because he's really not a nice person. You and him is just an argument away that the same things he's doing to those other people, he's going to do to you.
Well, there's a saying that says, who gossip with you today, shouldn't gonna gossip about you tomorrow.
Exactly.
That's the same thing.
And so with all of that, after the second incident, I realized, and he realized where we were heading. And when I told him I want to leave Stacia because life was too short, I didn't want to wait until I grew up. I was 16. And he said, son, life is only short for people taking a shortcut to it.
What was your mother's position when you wanted to leave Stacia?
I didn't tell her exactly that because I don't know what she would have said. What I told her is that I was going to leave school. So I left school at 16. So after St. Croix, I went back to Stacia. I went through a 3-year program in LTS. So I learned masonry and carpentry. It was the only option I had. And it was a 3-year complete high school. I gravitated to the 5th of the 5 ways, and you'll have to read the book to see all the 5 ways. The way I chose was to go out in the real world, learn to do as many different things as I can. And then between the ones I love the most and the ones I can do the best, put them together, make a business, and live. And that's what I did.
What age did you come to St. Martin?
I came to St. Martin at the age of 17.
17. And where did you stay here? Did your mother come here? Were you on your own, basically?
My mentor actually arranged for me to stay at a lady. Her name is Amanda. She passed away way back. And that was in South Reward, on the hill in South Reward. I actually came to St. Martin for 2 weeks. I stayed almost 2 years before I went. Because when I came to St. Martin, I was blown away. We're talking.
There's just a fast lane.
I mean, we're talking 1986.
You're coming into the fast lane
from Stacia to St. Martin, it was night and day. And I was so excited. I mean, from Stacia, I used to hear like Vance James Jr. and the way he spoke, and Master D was on the radio. He had this big voice. When I actually saw him for the first time, I realized he's a little guy. Lady Grace, King Bobo. For me, and I say it in the book, I was so excited to be on the same island that those guys lived.
Correct.
And when I saw those guys, hearing them from Stacia and seeing King Bobo come to Stacia and perform on stage, I was like, I am here now. Like this St. Martin was my land of opportunity.
Did you come with the same business mind? When did it click in that, wow, I could make it in this country?
I came here actually to sell. I bought inventory. I bought necklaces. I bought bracelets. I bought earrings. From shells. I made seashell earrings, bracelets, necklaces, beads. But St. Martin tourists was not interested in those things. So the first week...
there was a lot more things.
There was so much more. So the first week, I spent like the first couple of days going around and checking out the beaches and everything. I mean, St. Martin had white sand beaches. Stacia is black sand because it's a volcanic island. And so I was just wowed. And when I went to Front Street trying to sell, it didn't go well. I couldn't even take care of my costs, And so I decided, with all the work and construction and everything going on, I was gonna stick around and get myself a job. Because it was happening. St. Martin was happening.
In the 80s, that was it.
It was happening.
It was booming.
And I worked with a South African guy. I got a job as a carpenter. So I went down in the Pelican Key area and I saw how they kind of did jobs. So everybody showed up and the foreman or the contractor came on and say, I need a mason, I need a carpenter, I need an electrician. And the guy would say, yeah, I'm one, or I need 3 helpers. And when I saw that, I said, you know what? I'm gonna get a job as a carpenter. So the next day I went to Phillipsburg Utilities, I think it was. That was the big hardware store.
Yeah.
I got me a hammer, I got a tape, I got a square, and I came back, and the next day the guy come on and say, I need a carpenter. I said, me. Yeah. It was a South African guy, had an accent. And back then it was still apartheid, South Africa.
Yeah.
So, and I was never, back then I wasn't really exposed to the politics of things. But then he had trouble keeping employees to work for him because he was South African.
Yeah.
And that was the rift that, plenty of the Caribbean islands was starting to boycott, South Africa and demonstrate. And I wrote that all in the book also. It didn't faze me too much because I knew this person. And this person, even though he was from South Africa, he didn't portray any racist attitudes. Because I was a black boy, he was a white South African.
Yeah.
And there was no discrimination there compared to the discrimination I had growing up.
Yeah.
So for me, it was fine. And then from there, I worked with him for about 8 months, a little over 8 months, and I saved almost $12,000.
Wow.
Because I applied a saving and what was taught to me as a cost of living expense, which is why, you're doing your budget right now. But back then, and it's in the book, I show an image of it, what it looked like back then. And I made like $400 a week. I was 17 years old, making $400 a week. Right. No girlfriend, no rent. The lady in South Reward charged me $80 a month rent. Yeah. So imagine your rent is $80 a month and you're making $400 a week.
Come on.
I mean,
if you can't save on that, then you're right. And all of this is in the book.
It's in the book. Yeah. And that requires the discipline. If you don't have those fundamentals young, it takes you, for so many people, they're in their 30s, they can't balance a checkbook. Well, checkbooks are no longer exist, but they couldn't balance a checkbook. If you can get your
people that they don't know how to save, they don't know. They know how to make money, but they don't know how to save.
And they know how to spend it too.
Yeah.
And I always prefer to save than spend, because I learned early on. It's one thing to receive it, but once you start buying things, the money is gone. Yeah. And I say in the book, I realized I was exchanging cash for things.
Yeah.
I prefer to keep the cash more, so I had to basically rethink the things I wanted.
Yeah, instead of wanting, look for need.
Exactly. Yeah. Because everything that you want, you have to buy.
Yeah.
And that requires capital. You have to pay for it.
Yeah.
And you can't
and I mean, we're celebrating Black History Month now, and I hope that I wish to see the day that Black people is going to understand that, because they're saying rich people remain rich because they behave poor, and poor people remain poor because they behave rich.
Exactly.
It's exactly the contrary of what we do.
It's having your cake and eat it too.
Exactly.
You do not get the things and keep the cash.
Yeah.
You have to exchange one for the other.
You have to exchange one for the other. I think you got a super book, Calvin. And I'm going to call you Calvin. But the name Brown is a station name or a Sanket's name, or
it's a Christian name. There's 3 different variations of Brown. There's the Brown with the E, Brown with the IE, and then there's a Brown without the E.
Because you have Brown here with the NE.
With the NE. And I'm the only one in the family with the E.
Okay.
It was done by accident, and it would cost a whole lot to change it.
Yeah.
So it stayed. Yeah. So I always say the
how do you say
is for excellence.
But how do you say? You say brownie or just brown?
Just brown.
It's
brown.
Still just brown.
So I say brown with the E.
So it's the same as if it just stopped with the N.
Yes.
You don't say brownie. You just say brown.
The brownie is the one with the IE.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. That's the brownie.
What the name Grammy?
Grammy.
Wait, that's
in research. Somehow I thought my mom said it was a German name, but in searching it, it's a British name. It's a British company. It's a British last name. It's very big there.
Because Grammy, I've never heard that name before. So I can tell you, if you call you and say Grammy, or say, listen, I don't know you, sir.
I actually tried to get Grammy.com and I could never get it. And I'm like, why is this name so popular? They're like, who else would name their child that name?
Yeah.
But it's a very big name in the UK.
Well, I tell you what.
So I got GrammyBrown.com.
It files good for a writer.
Exactly.
It files good for a writer. Who's that writer? His name is Grammy.
Yeah.
Grammy Brown.
And I realized, traveling in the States earlier on, like in my early 20s, Grammy created a conversation.
Yeah.
So once I was there, I'm like, I can't carry myself with this Calvin name that is not my name because I'm a black man in the U.S. with a name that's not mine.
No,
that's
you have
suspicious behavior.
Very suspicious behavior. You need to have your perfect name.
So I gotta have my name, and every time I say Grammy, it created a conversation. Grammy, what kind of name is that?
Are you thinking about coming back to St. Martin? What happened to your home that you have here? Are you?
Well, I've had 2 different homes. Well, I'm on my 3rd home here now. So I've sold the first one I had when I was 27 years old. I built another one. I sold it in 2018. Now I have a condo. So St. Martin is still home. I still come back and forth. Now I don't come back as often. I'm here about 3 months out of the year. We still have business and investments here. So St. Martin is still home. Before, I still operated a business called Extreme Communication, which is all your cheapy top-up machines and stuff like that. So I'm still involved with that. So St. Martin is still home.
You know, the pride here, the joy that I have here is that you did not waste your money.
No,
you didn't play with your money. You made some money and you did it. You use it rightly.
I was told at the age of 29 that I had enough to last a lifetime if I don't spend it all.
Manage it properly.
No, he just said if you don't spend it all, because that's what we end up doing. We spend it all.
Yeah.
About maybe 10 years ago, I saw a guy. I was driving a Range Rover, and he passed and he says, "Calvin, that's you? You still got more of that Cellular One cash left?" And I just laughed it off. But it was also the stereotype, right? Like, you, after all this time, you're not supposed to have no more money left.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because
if you manage it right.
Yeah.
If you manage it right. And you know, I mean, and this book should even bring you some more cash.
Yeah.
Because this is a book that this is our story.
Yeah, this is our story. I mean, you literally, because most people in St. Martin doesn't know me growing up. They don't know where I come from.
Yeah.
This tells you precisely who I am, where I come from, and my journey up until the point that you know me.
It shows too that don't jealous me. It was not an easy journey.
No.
Because we jealous each other quick.
Yeah.
But we don't know the journey.
Yeah, we don't know the journey.
And this is not an easy journey.
And if you learn the journey, there's a lot of in this book for you.
Yeah.
I tell people, so many people want to go out on their own. They want to start their own business. All you have to do is make the first step.
Yeah.
Because until you make the first step, you're standing still.
Yeah. And I mean, your story today, when you said that the way you got Cellular One is because you wanted a cellular phone.
Oh, on the free phone.
A free phone.
A free phone.
A free phone. And that's how you did it.
And it turned into a business that was sold over a 6-year span. So just in 6 years, I mean, we're talking 0 to 1,000.
Yeah. Yeah, but you, like I said, you fell in at the right time, at the right spot, because that's when cellular phone was just coming into St. Martin.
We
didn't have no internet yet. We didn't have internet.
No, the internet there wasn't even existence.
No, we had no internet in those days. We had this phone, and I remember something that I still question up to today. You have to pay for incoming calls.
Right, you pay for incoming and outgoing calls at the same time.
Today you don't pay for incoming
at the same
anymore.
price, right?
At the same price.
Yeah. Now it's actually calling party pay, so the incomer doesn't really pay.
Yeah.
But in St. Martin, the one making the call, the carrier on the other side still gets something from the carrier that generated the call.
Yeah.
In the US, it's just flat. So that's why we don't have the flat rates here.
Yeah.
The flat rates here is only on the carrier's network.
Yeah.
If they would change the rules and and cut that out, we can actually have those unlimited packages across network, just on a local call.
Yeah.
But that would be the regulators and politicians.
You're still in it, boy, Calvin. You're still in the cellular business, boy. You're still there.
Telecommunications.
But you said that you retire now. You don't work as hard as you used.
No, I don't work as hard anymore. I let the employees do their job.
Yeah.
We once you own the business and you have the employees, you micro manage a lot. And now I've got to the point where I'm like, listen, you need to do your job. I need to bring you to the point where you can do your job without me having to tell you what to do on a daily basis.
Correct.
And I have 2 incredible staff, and they basically run everything.
Yeah.
I do, for them, I think my involvement with them is probably about 4 hours a week.
Yeah.
Everything else is them.
Wow.
And I got Brian, he's still over at, Brian, he used to have a program here, he's Video Block.
Oh, yes, the French Quarter. Yeah.
Actually, that business that he has was a video store I had called Buck and a Half. I don't even remember Buck and a Half Entertainment when we did all the promotions. And actually, Brian was one of my employees, and he actually bought that business from me. I think back in 2000 or 2001, and he was fresh out of high school, or I don't even think he completed high school at the time. And he became a business owner.
Yeah.
And he still works for me now. And he runs.
But he does a good job, man.
He does a very good job.
Brian knows he knows his business. Huh?
Oh yeah.
He knows his business.
So he has had that business, I think, around the age of 18.
Yeah, he's there quite a while.
He still have it today. So he's one of the young kids that I mentored from back then, and he still works for me today, and he's right there, almost to fully take over my operation now from me. And that is the guy that's going to go forward. Yeah. So,
congratulations, my brother. Let's remind the people, if you want to meet Calvin, it's this Sunday at Pineapple Pete, 5 p.m.
5 o'clock.
Launching of the book. And the book is Learning the Business of Life.
Yeah. And
so you feel, Calvin, once you learn life, you learn, that's it.
Yeah. So the mentor told me at the age of 14 when we met that business and life was one and the same.
Yeah.
And I've lived that way.
Yeah.
Business and life for me is the same thing.
Yeah. Calvin, thanks so much for joining us, my brother.
Thank you for having me here. Thank you for having me. It's been a long time because we know each other like over 30 years.
I know you a long time, and you know I'm so happy for you because I was always like I back in then, if you drive a Lexus at 29 years old, you had to be a big shot, in St. Martin. But you did well.
Yeah,
you did well. You see at what age though you started? You see that young age, if you could capture from the young age what you want out of life, you're going to make it.
Yeah. Because we spent our 20s just partying. In my 20s, I was a workaholic.
Not partying.
Any girlfriend I had to compete with work. That was the other girl.
Yeah.
Because I was motivated, I was inspired, I was fired up, I was determined. And that's what I said. The only limits in business and life is your imagination and determination to succeed.
Yeah.
I was determined to succeed.
And that's coming from St. Kitts, coming from Stacia, coming from St. Martin, that determination to succeed. And you did it.
I did it.
You did it. Congratulations, man.
Thank you.
So see you Sunday, Calvin, at
Pineapple Pete, 5 o'clock, be there.